Well, hey everyone, welcome to our Monday night live stream. I'm going to bring on Thrash Pondo Pons here, and we're going to bring on our guest in just a minute. And as you all know, what we like to do here at Retro Serial is we like to do a podcast with the guests without questions from the audience and have a conversation, but then I want to open up to audience questions and talk about things related to the subject, whatever subject it is. And today it happens to be rap music of the 80s. And I have to admit that I wasn't a huge fan of rap growing up, but I do have to acknowledge that it was a big part of 80s culture, 70s, 80s, 90s, and growing up Generation X culture. um, Thrash, how are you doing today? I'm a little fragmented. Sorry. How are you?
Hey, cats and kittens. I'm doing relatively not unwell, Mr. Carlin would say.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. Let's bring Lee to the stream real quickly here. Hey, Lee, how you doing?
I'm doing really good. Thanks for having me on
Okay.
this.
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm glad you could be with us. When we first contacted you, well, I actually met you through um, Derek's channel, Flick Snacks and Knickknacks, and we had talked about because I looked over your channel, like this guy knows a lot about rap, and of course. This show's all about growing up Generation X, but you're not a Gen Xer. Are you a Gen Z? Is that what it is?
Yeah, early 2000s.
Yeah,
Yeah, that would be considered Gen Z.
right on. And but you know way more about this subject than I think either me or Thrash put together. So I'm like, well, what better person to have on and to give us? It's kind of like one of those things where you don't ask the fish what it's like to be wet, because that's all he knows. And so it's good to get an outsider's perspective on the situation. And like you're looking in at what happened during this time, and so I thought this would be a really great idea, and you know your stuff. So we had that conversation a week ago from last Thursday, and we're ready for the live stream. And Thrash Pondo, who do we have with us? We're going to say hi real quick to our audience, as we always do,
Got a
and then we'll
real
get
Jim
into
Dandy.
questions.
Super. Pardon me. We have Lance Choffin
Lance, hey,
in the
buddy.
house. Says hi,
Good to
Ian and
be with
Thrash,
us.
and of course, Mr. Lee as well. We have Mr. Led, who says hi, Ian, Thrash, and Lance, but he says he has absolutely nothing to contribute. We'll see about that.
You'll be surprised how much more you have to contribute than you think. I thought I didn't really have much to contribute, but it's about the associations a lot of times. It's about like what rap meant and like how it affected other things that you might contribute on. So don't sell yourself short.
That's why I wear heels, so I never sell myself short.
Right. Platforms. I like the Kiss boots myself personally. I walk around in those.
Spike Spikerton says, hey,
Spike.
Lance and Mr. Led. Hello to you too, Spike. Scrolling down.
Who else do we have here?
We have Hungry Jerk saying, hey, hey, hey.
Hey, Hungry Jerk. How you doing, buddy?
Of course. Mr. Sunford,
Dave.
David himself. Hey, all.
All right. YouTube's older brother, Dave. And
here we are.
Cindy D's in the
D.
house. Glad you could be joining us, Cindy. Glad you could make it on our live stream. And Skip Rock Jr. Oh, was that the end of the questions? We are.
Just. Anyway, we're not taking any questions at the moment, but hello, Skip Rock Jr.
Yeah, we'll get to the questions. We'll go down through the question. And Golden Rage at TV.
Golden Rage says, yo, Dave.
Yo, Dave. Well, yo to you. Tracy Rothmeyer.
I want a Golden Rage of TV T2. I am super jealous. Eat your heart out, Bubala.
Right on.
And
t-shirt.
I believe that's all the people we have in the house. I'm sure others will join us.
As they join us, and then, we'll say hi to them as they join us. But I believe we've actually even got some questions already rolling in. Did you get any feedback, by the way, Lee, from where you shared the podcast? Did people contact you or say anything about it to you? Did they say good things, bad things? What'd they say?
Oh yeah, it was received very positively.
Cool.
Yeah.
Right on.
Very heartwarming.
Yeah. What kind of questions we got, Thrash?
Okay. Mr. Led says I take that back. I like two rap songs. It's a Jungle Out There by Grandmaster Flash and Walk This Way with Aerosmith and Run DMC.
Right on, right on. Talk about those two songs for just a minute. I mean, this is a time where we get these things. If ideas come into your head and you say you want to say something, as somebody brings something up, Lee, this is the time to do it. So I'm gonna leave that there. It's a Jungle Out There by Grandmaster Flash. Tell us a little bit about that song.
Well, I'm pretty sure he means the message. I'm not sure. I'm not really into Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five and their catalog. But yeah, Grandmaster Flash, definitely a very, very nice rapper. Definitely paved the way for future rappers and future groups in hip hop. And of course, Aerosmith and Run DMC, which we talked a bunch about last time
Right.
we were together.
Yeah.
Very
I
classic
mean,
stuff.
and I think I told the story last time that I didn't know that Aerosmith had a song called Walk This Way until Run DMC came out. But I think I was like 10 years old when it came out or something like that. So you can't blame me. I just didn't know. I thought, oh, Aerosmith and Run DMC, or I think the truth is I might have just been being introduced to Aerosmith too, because they had just kind of come back together after they had been broken up for a while, or Joe Perry left, as I recall during that. It was a great crossover. It was a great crossover.
Yeah, that song definitely made me get way into Aerosmith.
Yeah, it's funny that way.
You know, their sales had actually flatlined right before they did that crossover song, and their sales suddenly went up afterwards. So it gave them both a shot in the arm.
Right, right,
Lynn Chafin says, and Breakin' 2.
right. We talked a little bit about that. That was about my extent into rap in the early '80s, and I would probably say it was definitely before I was 13. Definitely before I was 13. I did have a little stint in early rap because of the breakdancing thing. I'd cut cardboard down and stuff like that. What's the relationship between, is there a big relationship or a minor relationship, Lee, between breakdancing and rap? Do they go hand in hand or what?
It all goes back to disco.
Mm,
Hip hop was really inspired by disco. People were all about the moves and the flashiness in the disco days. And, breakdancing was just like the next level to that.
mm.
Oh, Hungry
I
Jerk
think it
Breaking, by
got,
the way, a very good movie.
yeah, break in too. They're good. They're good. They're good in a bad way. They're so bad they're good. Breaking too,
Yeah.
especially. But I don't know. You chime in too, buddy. After if you want to say something about any of this stuff.
Hungry Jerk says, I saw Beat Street at the movie when it first came out. That's what my date wanted to see.
Oh, is that an East Coast thing? Beach Street.
I think so. I've never
Okay,
seen that movie.
you never. Okay, yeah, yeah. I think it
Me
was a.
neither.
I think you've never seen Beat Street.
Never seen Beat Street.
Oh, well, you got it.
I saw the Breaking movies, but never Beat Street.
It's breaking with more grittier attitude, basically. Um,
Okay.
it's a little, it's more underground, obviously, but really good and really good rap in there. A little more, yeah, a little more gritty. A little more gang related kind of activities, um, but still kind of taking it out in on the dance floor has a lot to do with it. Yeah, go watch it. It's a great show. I haven't seen it in forever.
Definitely. Definitely going on my list.
And the album too. The album's good too.
Oh yeah, of course.
I'm scrolling down to find more questions. At the moment, we have a lot of people having fellowship, and there's a lot of talk about Brigitte Nielsen for some reason, but we haven't got too many
Oh
questions yet.
no, is there stuff about Brigitte Nielsen that we need to know?
They just mentioned that she was Stallone's ex. I think at one point she was romantically involved with a rapper. At least that's kind of what the implication I
I
got
don't
here.
I don't know where you are, but I'm just going to post a couple of them here.
Oh, please do, please do. Cindy D says, question, did you like the movies from the 80s like Crush Groove and the Breakin' movies? Hollywood tried to make the breakdancing trend mainstream.
Well, I'll speak first, and Lee chime in, and Thrash Pondo, please chime in as well. But yeah, I mean, I was a fan of those movies. I was a little worried at the time. I wasn't worried. My friend brought this out that the movies were going to kill breakdancing as a movement, like like the movies of disco killed disco. And I remember my friend saying that because we had kind of gotten introduced to breakdancing slightly before the movies came out, Breakin' and Breakin' 2 and Beat Street, the other movie there that you mentioned I'm not familiar with. And a friend of mine who we were doing breakdancing together basically said, this is it for breakdancing. It's over as soon as the movies come out. And I don't know where he heard it from. I mean, we were both, like I said, 10, 11 years old. He might have heard it from his older brother or something like that. But I like the movies. For the time, they were really good. I can nostalgically watch them, but don't really love them or anything like that. Lee, go ahead.
Yeah, I definitely can't have that nostalgic effect on them. But yeah, I really did enjoy those movies. Like it really gave me a lot of insight and like a lot of like, it gave me a view of how things were back then when hip hop was
Yeah.
just starting out. Everybody was breakdancing everywhere. Honestly, I think anything that Hollywood touches, like it's like the final period. Nothing is gonna get bigger when it touches Hollywood. Like skateboarding was a huge craze, and once it reached the big screen, it just died out basically. Like I think there's a
Hmm.
lot of crazes and a lot of trends that definitely suffer from that.
Yeah. Yeah. That's true. It's very insightful too.
No,
Yeah. Go
no,
ahead.
you're right. I remember in the '80s there were those skateboarding movies, which sadly they were all dreadful, which I think was part of the problem. But I think with the dance craze that took place in the early to mid '80s, it's almost like they were riding a crest of the market. I mean, it seemed to me like they're all following the footsteps of Flashdance, even though Flashdance wasn't hip hop at all. But it was a very, very, very popular movie. I must confess, I saw it in the theaters at least twice. Huge crush on Jennifer Beals, and I think anything Hollywood could get its hands on that sort of revolved around dance was going to be considered a hot property. So it wasn't just breakdancing, but if I remember correctly, there were like several forms of dance that was being incorporated into mainstream cinema at the time.
Well, I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't really remember.
It seemed to me like there was. I can't think of many others because I didn't watch a lot of them. But it was always some girl who was going off to a ballet school, or some girl that was
You're
discovering.
writing a movie right now with it, right? I mean, you
Oh,
got it you got
please,
it down, man. You got
yeah.
the
If
trope
there's one
down.
thing I am an expert on, it's ballet. You know what? You know what I think finally killed the dance movies. Ironically, what finally took the wind out of their sails was the Jennifer Grey vehicle, which just Dirty
Oh,
Dancing.
Dirty Dancing.
After Dirty Dancing, it was like, okay, that's it. We've had enough. We're done. And ironically, that was possibly the most popular of the dance craze films. So it was almost like it was their swan song.
Right.
But I think there were sort of many ingredients in the overall stew, you might say, and that might have been why breakdancing wasn't negatively impacted by Hollywood.
Mhm.
Oh, and look who we have in the house, John Collins.
John, how you doing, buddy? Good
And
to
John
good to have you
says,
with us.
question: why were rappers and rappers in general held to such a strong, rigid standard when it came to rapping about their truth, when every other genre of music can simply make it up and do all the time?
I'll let you. I can chime in on that a little bit, but I'll let you answer that one.
I'm going to take it down, by the way, just so we can actually see your face,
Okay. Yeah.
because you're kind of.
Oh, actually, let's do this. Oh no, no. Yeah, that's good. Take it down. Go ahead.
all right. Yeah, I don't. There's just something about rap that was always about authenticity more than anything else. Like we were talking about last time. Everything in music and in like culture in general and mainstream media was all about the gimmick, and hip hop was kind of like one of those first things that really were about the message. And like I don't know, it just throughout the ages and throughout the years and throughout the decades that just kind of carried on, and it's one of the principles of rap. Like if you're gonna rap about something, at least make it true. But
Hmm.
I don't see any problem with like writing amazing storytelling and like stuff like that because one of the possibly one of my favorite hip hop songs of all time, called "Stan" by
Yeah.
Eminem. You know, really great song, and it's not true. And like "Temperatures Rising" by Mobb Deep is another song that's completely a story told in their minds, and
Yeah.
it was just influenced by what they were experiencing by that time in the past. But yeah, I think there has to be definitely some authenticity when it comes to hip hop.
Well, isn't that where the term rap actually originated from? It was to straight talk about a very heavy subject, to talk intently. So it it seems like rap right out the gate was intended as a message format musically. At least it seems to me.
I think that's where
Oh
the
yeah,
word
definitely.
comes from.
Well,
Well,
yeah, it's
let me chime in on that as well. I think what you have is you have extremes on both end, and then you have kind of more of the truth in the middle on that. So you have somebody like a Vanilla Ice who was not being authentic. Not that he had to be, but when you lie about it, that's kind of where, and you go up over the top and you're doing it just for the money and stuff. And then you have the backlash to that, where the backlash are they're saying, look, you unless you're 100% authentic, and if you haven't killed a guy, then you can't rap about it. And you get that handful of people. But those are the two kind of extremes. I think the middle is 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 like a solid base of authenticity, and off of that you can build whatever you want, whether it be imaginary or something you think about, or whether it happened to you exactly or in a friend's life or something like that. And I think that the reaction is when somebody takes out that base of authenticity and just has, like, it's like a cake with just icing and no. You can have icing on a cake. People love cake with icing, but the authenticity is the baseline of the cake in which other things can be built on, like Stan or something like that. And to make a connection here, this is also kind of true um, with alternative rock. This is what kind of separates alternative rock from metal. Metal tended to be more storytelling, more like you're going to a play, like with Iron Maiden and Judas Priest. Or it was songs more about like um, uh, uh, a pretend subject, dragons and stuff like that, where the alternative rock scene came out and it was like more about, hey, what's the emotion that you're going through personally? Like, are you going through depression? Are you going through anger? Your parents breaking up? Things like that. So I see it now. It's not like you couldn't fantasize in your brain, from an alternative perspective, but the authenticity has to be there, and the authenticity is the raw emotion when it comes to alt rock, in my opinion, at least.
Yeah, and like definitely, I do believe like every single rapper has that song where storytelling like is a factor. Tupac with "Brenda's Got a Baby," Biggie with "Suicidal Thoughts," Eminem with "Stan," so on and so forth.
Right.
But like as you said with Vanilla Ice, when you lie about it, you get caught with it, and then you keep insisting. I think that's like a totally different level.
Right. I'm gonna bring up one here, a
oh
comment here too. Oh,
oh.
go ahead.
Hungry Jerk said, "Look up Zap, especially that song."
Zap that song.
Zap.
All right.
I need to look that one up.
Trey Rossmeyer says, "I really liked how Blondie used were the song Rapture with a rap thrown in."
Yeah. You've heard that song before, haven't you, Lee?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Is that I think that's maybe the first crossover. Was rap happening at that time?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was like happening. It wasn't mainstream, but it was definitely around.
I think it was 1980 when that song came out, wasn't it? When Rapture came out?
Just about.
1980.
Just about.
Yeah. So that would have been right when, of course, it was underground and up in New York. And this is actually one of the things that kind of bound, rap and the punk scene together. It was like the white punk rocker kids were looking at the non-white kids and thinking that's their version of punk. That's what they do, and this is why in the early days you had a little bit of crossover, like with the Beastie Boys, at the very beginning and stuff. I'm gonna get one more here. I want you to read this, and I'll turn the controls back over to you, Thrash.
Dave Sundrum says, and then there is a relatively obscure song called World Destruction by Africa Bombata and John Lydon that was pretty decent.
Hmm.
I
I'll let you
haven't
take.
heard a lot of I haven't heard a lot of African Bombata, but I'll definitely check it out. There's a lot of obscure songs in hip hop that are absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I can't even. I'm so thankful. Like I'll run across something, and I'm like, gosh, I'm glad, and it'll open up a whole door to me. Like of a band that just never got the credit that they deserve. Like I'll catch it on like the end of of a television show or something, and I'll be like, that's a pretty cool song, and I'll go look it up. And there are times when I've done that when it's been like, well, that was their only good song. and then
Yeah,
there but then there's been times where I did that. That's how I found the band Brand New, and I bragged on this band all the time. I mean, everybody should be listening to Brand New. They're awesome. They're incredible. But I back in the early days of Friendster, not Friendster, but what's the other one? MySpace. I didn't have an account. My friend had an account, and he opened up, was looking at this girl's account, and one of the songs came on. I was like, whoa! And they ended up being one of my absolute favorite bands. I want to hear a story. You guys got any stories that like that where you thought you just kind of trailed down something and it ended up being one of your favorite artists?
Well, most of the music that I was exposed to that became new favorite bands of mine were usually brought to me by a friend, so I didn't have to do a lot of digging. A friend of mine would play his new album. I'm like, these guys are great. Who are they? So I didn't have to do a lot of digging. It was usually dropped on my lap.
Right, right, right.
Yuli?
yeah, like that was like the first time I heard hip hop. Like I was never into hip hop, or at least I didn't know much about it. I was always just like listening whatever was on the car and stuff like that. But yeah, one of my friends like introduced me to like the song "Cream" from Wu Tang. Cash
Mm-hmm.
rules everything around me, and I fell in love after that.
Yeah, right on. Yeah, you can find whole genres of music like that. If that's how you found hip hop, well, that's awesome. That's a freaking awesome story, man.
Yeah.
Okay. Skip Rock Jr. says there hasn't been any good rap since 1993.
I think he means 1993,
Yeah, he's
maybe.
big year 1993. Get it?
Ah,
He's
naughty
talking about
three.
how 1993 was a naughty year for some of us, I'm sure.
I don't know what
Um,
he's referencing. Is that a reference to Two Live Crew or something?
I'm not
Maybe.
sure. Well, he and Cindy are kind of having a battle here. Cindy D says the heyday of rap was in the 80s, and Skip Rock Jr. goes on to say that was a statement, not a question. The golden age of rap was 90 to 93. Would you like to
Well,
weigh in on this?
yeah, yeah. I got to hear your opinion, Lee. Let's hear it. Spill it.
uh, well, the '80s definitely had like some really great stuff. Like you can find some really good stuff in the '80s, but I don't know. I wouldn't even agree. Like to me, I wouldn't even agree that 93 to 90 to 93 was the golden age of rap, even though that's where rap really started to pop off. I think hip hop just it really did shine. Excuse me. It really did shine in like the late 90s to early 2000s. But that's more like a generational thing because that was when I was born, when I was around, and like that's where hip hop was. But like, yeah, definitely every stage that hip hop went through within those
Hmm.
years was definitely like something special.
Yeah, yeah. And one of the things that defined it, different eras, and we were talking about this earlier, is early rap, thrash. You pointed this out, and I jumped on it like it's my idea because it's not. I've adopted it as my idea, but I mean, you really did point it out where you said that early rap, like the Fat Boys and early Will Smith. Go ahead. Tended to be
And
more,
Tone Loc
yeah,
specifically,
Tone Loc tended to be more uh, I don't know, not, n-
tongue in
it,
cheek.
yeah, tongue in cheek. I don't want to say I don't want to say parody or anything like that. That's not the word I'm looking for. Tongue in cheek's a good way to put it. Where later rap started to take itself like more seriously, like really more that gangster attitude started to come out. It was yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Especially with the rise of like NWA, and like I can see the comments right here, Naughty by Nature as well. They were definitely doing some really good stuff.
Hmm. Hmm.
Oh, Hungry Jerk says, I still have the first printing of Rapper's Delight by the Sugar Hill Gang. Rare. What year?
Wow.
That was like 83 was, or was it before that even?
No, that was I think that was like in the late 70s. I think rappers like
Really? It was that early.
I'm pretty sure it was
I think so too. I think it was like 78 or 79 or something like that.
because
Wow.
that was the same time
Wow.
like Curtis Blow was around that came out, and like Curtis
Mhm.
Blow tried to do the same thing with the breaks. So yeah, that's a really old song, 1979, Hungry
70
Jerk.
Yeah.
79. Crazy. Guys, I seem to have frozen, but I'm gonna run with it because if I bounce out, I won't be able to read the line. So mind if I'm just sort of a freeze frame and I'll let you
No,
guys
no. We'll get your picture up there. We'll pretend in our mind that
thank
that
you.
you're moving. What do you
Thank you.
think was the biggest differences? Let me just throw this out before we get to any more
Sure.
comments. Lee, what do you think was the biggest difference between, let's say, late '80s rap, early '90s rap, and original rap, like the first wave? What separates them? Are they set? What are they separated by? What's the big division between that?
Sound has to do a lot of it with it. Like the sound was definitely changing like very quickly. Like
Huh?
as I said in like the last one, it was a lot more about spreading the message as the years went on than just like going to the party and like having fun, dancing all around the dance floor and stuff like that. It was taking itself much more serious as the years went on. But
Yeah.
like it was really funny because as it got older, it started taking itself more lightly again, and you got a lot of more gimmick songs again with Eminem and like a lot of other rappers who were doing a lot more funny type of gimmick songs instead of like the serious raps that we were hearing in the 90s.
Mm, mm. Do they are they do they get backlash for that? Like in the like now when somebody like
Oh
Eminem
yeah,
is
yeah. Like he made a lot of parodies. One in specific was when he parodied Michael Jackson in like
I remember
that
that.
song, and Michael Jackson like bought all of his royalties and stuff like that. And, like that was a pretty big thing. But like, yeah, you can definitely get some backlash from doing something like that. But especially nowadays, nowadays people don't really like that kind of stuff. But yeah,
Mm. What other comments do we have?
Okay, we got one from Dave Sundstrom here. It says White Lines was covered by Duran Duran a couple of decades later.
Huh, I'm not really aware of this song.
what's your favorite Duran Duran song?
Um,
Oh gosh, I couldn't tell you. What's your favorite one?
Blue Moon on Monday.
That's a good one.
I love that song, and even more importantly, I love the video. Do you remember the music video for it?
Barely.
It takes place. The setting is sort of reminiscent of occupied Europe during World War II,
Mm.
and the musicians are actually resistance fighters. And in the end, they fight a battle with these mounted Nazi stormtroopers with lightsabers, and it is just like the coolest video of all time. So
I probably haven't seen that. I think that would stick out to me if I would.
That's right up your alley, though, Thrash.
it sure is. Hey, it's on YouTube. Check it out.
I'll check it out.
I'll
Probably for
definitely
me,
check
either hungry like a wolf, reflex. Um, what's that song? Don't cry for yesterday. Oh, ordinary world. It's an ordinary. Yeah, ordinary world would be on there for sure. I like that song quite a bit. That was when they ordinary world was almost like they had a few years off and then they came back. What about you, Lee? Do you like Duran Duran? You a fan?
Oh yeah, I'm a big fan.
Oh,
Girls on Film was definitely like one of the ones that stick out to me.
hmm.
Great song.
Was
Great
that
song.
Duran Duran?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
You made me think
yeah.
for a second. I'm like,
I literally, you could have said anything else, and I would have totally believed you. I would have been like, oh yeah.
Although, do you know that to this day, every time someone brings up Duran Duran, all I can think of is the line from Bare Naked Ladies. This is me in grade 9, where
Mm.
he goes, I tried out for the football team to show that I'm a man. I guess I shouldn't tell him that I like Duran Duran. And for some reason,
Oh
it's all
wow.
every time someone asks me about Duran Duran, that's the
They were
first thing that pops
great.
into my head. Oh, Mr. Sundstrom has another one. If Tupac hadn't left us so young, it's quite possible that Chris Rock wouldn't have been assaulted at the Oscars. Hmm.
The man would have been shot. I'll tell you
Oh,
that
Oh,
much.
by Tupac? You mean Tupac would have shot what?
Yeah,
Explain.
yeah, I'm pretty sure. Well, Tupac, as Thrash pointed out last time, Jada Pinkett Smith was like one of the writers for like California Love, the music video, and
Okay.
they were pretty close, and like Will Smith was pretty close with Tupac as well. Tupac was everywhere by this time, so yeah, definitely. I think Chris Rock saying something like that in Jada's situation would have definitely like
and
rustled
Tupac would have shot him.
Tupac's feather.
Oh,
Well,
so
yeah,
I gotcha. I
No,
gotcha.
I'm with you.
I was lost. I thought you meant like Tupac would have protected Chris Rock from Will Smith. That's a
oh
really.
no, the other way around.
It would
I
have gotten
gotcha.
worse.
I gotcha. It would have been worse.
How
I
should
don't
I say
know.
this tactfully? Do you think that Jada and Tupac were at some point romantically involved?
It's a possibility.
Huh.
I mean,
Yeah.
look at who you're talking about. The biggest rapper at that time.
Mhm.
He was taking over everything. So who's to say? Will Smith being left behind and Tupac on the rise. Who's to say that didn't happen before?
Right.
Huh.
Right. Could have
How
been.
about that?
Could have been. I'll
How about
buy
that?
it. What else we got?
Let's see. I just had to point this one out. Apparently, Spike Spikerson says NW means Norwegians working above. I don't
No,
think he has it
Yeah,
quite right.
I don't know. I don't know what that means at all.
NWA.
Yeah, I know, but I don't know what
Yeah.
I don't know what I know what Norwegians are, and I know what all those three words mean, but I don't know what the point is. Norwegians working above. Okay. Uh,
there was a skit on Jimmy Fallon about that whole thing. What NWA doesn't stand for. It was really
oh,
good.
really?
Yeah,
That's
with Ice
crazy.
Cube.
That's funny.
Oh, Trey Myers has a question for Lee. Lee, do you like any rock as well? Any rock inspire rap songs?
Yeah, I definitely am getting into rock. Like right now, as doing my channel, people are definitely suggesting a lot more genres. But I'm like ENC with rap. I'm basically a noob with rock. Like I couldn't tell
Mm,
you much.
you can tell me. Oh, yeah, yeah. I got it. I understand. We'll point you in the right direction. A lot of you go to like underground music and stuff like that. That's kind of it'll be the same kind of heartbeat of rap, but it's different. I mean, like they're all kind like metal might be a little more associated with early rap, where
Mhm.
alternative rock might be a little more associated with gangster rap, underground rap. Go ahead.
This is interesting. Mr. Dave Sunstrom points out to Mr. Led, Jada Pinkett was in a relationship with Tupac. Will Smith was her rebound relationship.
Oh,
Huh.
wow. Well, let's look
Huh.
at it
Pretty
this
big
way too.
range.
There's a reason they broke up, and maybe Tupac wouldn't have been so mad at Jada getting being the butt of a joke. Put it
Maybe.
out there. Maybe.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Like when your ex gets trashed, you're not always that sad when it happens, right? And she
Yeah.
was an ex.
Correct.
She was an
Somewhere in
Huh.
the
ex.
multiverse.
Yeah, right. Maybe not this verse, but some multiverse. Right on. What else we got?
Oh,
Thrash.
I'm not sure if I ever saw Police Academy 4. I might have stopped after the second one. I'm sorry. That's in regards to Sharon Stone was in Police Academy 4, I think. I think I kind of missed that one. But
Mm.
see what else. I'm going through trying to find actual questions.
That's okay. We'll just, I mean,
So,
we can rap about things,
well, here's a
ourselves. And
question. Lance
go
Chafin
ahead.
says, "Anybody remember Porky's?"
I do.
Yeah, Porky's
I,
was
I, I saw it late night television. Yeah, stayed up. Naughty me as a kid, for sure. Don't recommend it, but I saw it.
I saw it in the theaters.
You.
Yeah, it's on the theaters and Porky's too.
Oh, really?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes.
I didn't have that luxury.
Trey Rossmeyer says Vanilla Ice was a poser, in my opinion.
Yeah. What do you got to say about Vanilla Ice? What do you think?
Go ahead. You want to say something? I can tell.
This is the time to let it out,
Lee,
buddy.
go ahead.
Vanilla Ice is Vanilla Ice. There will never be another Vanilla Ice in rap. I'll tell you that much, and that's not a compliment.
Do you think he deserved to got? Do you think that what happened was real, where he got hung out the window by Suge Knight?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was real. Suge Knight was like, yeah, that Suge Knight would have done that, no doubt.
Yeah,
I
it's.
will say though, as much as I trash Vanilla Ice, Ice Ice Baby is a good song.
Well, he was super popular for a reason, and
Oh,
he did keep a lot of his money. I mean, he
Yeah,
was. Did you like? Did you listen to any of his rebrandings, where he did the dark metal stuff?
no,
Oh, you didn't know? You got to listen to Ice Ice Baby, the dark metal version. Look it up on
I
YouTube.
I didn't think that that would ever exist, but I'm very curious right
He
now.
tried to come back as kind of a I don't know, like ice, ice, baby, kind of a thing like that, where he's like, what?
That's really funny because like there's this rapper, I don't know, you've probably heard of him, called MGK, who recently, feuded with Eminem, and like he was a rapper and now he's like fully into rock and metal.
Oh,
Like he
wow.
doesn't rap anymore. So like that's like, you know,
Yeah.
that's
wow.
interesting.
That is cool. That is
Did
cool.
you hear that later Vanilla Ice his album where he came out all hardcore?
I never heard it. No,
No. Okay. All right. Well, Ice T did that too. You know, Ice T did Body Count, right?
I don't have that album
Yeah, but
either.
but Ice T was actually good. Is the thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Right. Yeah. I trailed off there from the original subject.
It's quite alright. It's what
Yeah.
we do. Danny Staten in the house.
Danny boy, how
He
you
says
doing, my
I
friend?
apparently, and I to you too, Captain.
Yeah, aye, awesome.
Oh, here's a
Well,
little factoid from Spike Spikerson. Rap was invented in the 1500s by John Skelton, tutor to Henry VIII, called Skeltonic rhythm, also known as tumbling verse.
hmm,
Hmm.
that's
I did not know
interesting.
that.
I did not know. I mean, I knew rap had its origins in earlier poetry. I
Hmm.
traced it back to like the old beat poetry of the 40s and 50s. I didn't know one back to the time of Henry VIII. That's interesting.
Mm.
Yeah.
Well, I like
Oh,
what you had said about the early rap being connected to disco because I mean, you get something like Rapper's Delight, which is, I mean, it's basically like half disco, half rap kind of a thing, and then from there you can kind of see it flowing into something like the Fresh Prince of Bel Air, and from there you can see it flowing into something a little bit more hardcore. You can see it progressively getting more hardcore as it goes on, particularly as it travels from the East Coast to the West Coast. That's kind of interesting.
Hmm.
Uh,
Dave Sundstrom says, "Taking off, folks.
all right, Dave. Well, we'll
See
see
you."
you.
See you on Wednesday during Pat's live stream. His visit with Kathy Garver should be fun. It sure should.
It sure should. It sure. Well, I gotta ask our audience here. Let me ask you guys this question: Were you? Was it okay for you in your crowd to be in rap and also be in the kind of music you were in? So, like, if you were a kid and you were into like heavy metal, was it also okay for you to be into rap? Or was rap looked at as like, no, we don't listen to rap. We're real tribal. Or if you were a punk rocker, was it okay to be a punk rocker and listen to rap? I'm interested in hearing what the audience has to say. I have to say at the very beginning, my personal journey, like I said, I kind of started in rap, music back when breaking came out 10 to 13, real quickly transitioned into heavy metal. And when you did that, it was only cool to listen to heavy metal. Everything else was stupid and dumb and not. I mean, it just wasn't hardcore. It wasn't looked at as hardcore. And then something like NWA came out, and it was just like man, okay, we don't want to mess with those guys; they'll kill you. But it was still very tribal. It was very tribal, and up in even through my alternative rock phase, up until Eminem. Eminem was the first time where like like at a gathering, somebody who was like into Nirvana and or might have a mohawk would pull out an Eminem CD and put it in the disc player for people to listen to. That was the first time it was like completely okay to put your arms around it. And I didn't mention this before, but also in the skate. Sorry if I'm going on for too long,
Oh no,
but
no.
also in the skateboarders um, uh, community, there was a season of rap there. It was weird because when I was young and they were skateboarders, they were listening to thrash music. They were listening to like Metallica and Anthrax and things like that. And then the next thing you know, they were listening to things. They were listening to rap, hardcore rap. It was just like, I don't know if rappers got into skateboarding or all the skaters suddenly discovered rap music, but it was like a takeover overnight. Do you either you guys remember that?
I
I couldn't
remember it.
remember.
Well, I know you can't remember, but you know about the phenomena.
Yeah, yeah. Skateboarding. Thinking about it, skateboarding would be pretty dope with rap with hip hop on.
Uh huh. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Thrash, do you remember that or no?
Vaguely, I was never much of a skateboarder. I'm not really designed for it, but I do remember the dynamic. Oh, Trey Meyer says I see a lot of rap in reggae.
What's your opinion on
Hmm.
that, Lee?
I'm not a big fan of reggae, but yeah, I can definitely see like there's a lot of rap in there,
Huh.
and like one of the greatest of all time, uh, you know, in the rap scene was kind of had that like reggae accent. It was really really good on the mic.
Mm.
And who was that?
Oh, it was oh damn, I forgot his name.
I didn't put you on the spot.
No,
That's
let's
all
move on.
right.
I'll remember it.
Okay.
We'll come back to that. We'll come back to that. Cindy D says, question, is the artistry of rap dead now? If you listen to today's songs, it's mostly samplings of past rap songs and artists.
Go ahead, Lee. I have no idea if it's dead now. I don't have my ear to the ground really on the subject too much.
What was the question again?
Oh, here, I'll put it back up for you. I'll leave it up this time. Sorry. It
Yeah.
says, is the artistry of rap dead now? If you listen to today's songs, it's mostly samplings of past rap songs and artists.
Hmm.
Yeah, but like it comes to the point where you kind of run out of stuff to do in hip hop. With the sound and everything. Trying to constantly come up with something new it gets pretty hard. But like sampling has always been a big part of hip hop. I think hip hop wouldn't be the same without sampling.
Yeah, that's for sure. I don't think it would be the same either. I don't know. I mean, it's part and parcel of it, right? I mean, you don't really have. I mean, if you got rid of sampling, you get rid of most rap as well, most rap songs. So I think it's part and
Yeah.
parcel. I think it'll always come back, like rap, like like with rock music. One form will always come up and come out and all that stuff, and it'll get popular again. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Lee. Go ahead.
Yeah. To this day, like sampling is a big part of hip hop. Also, KRS-One was the rapper I was talking about. Knowledge
Oh,
reigns
okay.
supreme.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, gotcha.
He did that work with REM.
Yeah.
And John Collins says, Thrash, when is your first solo live stream going to be a must all be there? Well, thank you, John. hopefully soon, Mesami. Hopefully soon. I'm kind of putting some preparations together. I want my first one to be an event and not a bust. So you might say I'm suffering from anticipatory nausea, but we'll have it for you very soon, hopefully.
I
Oh,
want a 1 hour live stream filled with dad jokes.
I'll try to pull that off.
Just putting that
And
out there.
I'll try to make sure my camera doesn't die halfway through. That could be awkward. Though I've been having really good luck with my camera. I don't know why all of a sudden tonight it went downhill, but at least we got Yuli to sort of pick up the slack. Oh, Trethos Myers brings up a very good question.
Yeah.
How about the female rappers like Missy Elliott and the like? We never even talked about them last week.
That's a woeful oversight on our part. And on this one, I
Yeah,
actually put
definitely.
that up. You can see on the thumbnail. I put up female. Tell us a little bit about female rap artists. When did they start getting involved? Wasn't one girl from the very
Yeah.
beginning?
There were a few, but none to really pop off. Like Missy Elliott was really there. There was Roxanne Shante, which was honestly amazing. Like that woman can spit forever. She can rap forever if she wanted to. Like she's so good. And obviously like Queen Latifah, Salt and Pepper. There are some really big names in hip hop. It'll never be the same now with female hip hop artists. Like right now, you got your Cardi B's. It hurts me to put her in that position. Uh, you got Nicki Minaj and all these types of other female rappers. But definitely no question about it. Back then, like female hip hop artists were the queens back then.
Do you like Nicki Minaj? I thought she was pretty good. I mean, didn't ever really. A lot of times when I catch rap today, let me say in the last 20 years, it's been because like I've been over at a friend's house and it's been on or something like that. It's not been a focal point for me. But I remember listening to Nicki Minaj and being very impressed with her ability to rap, I should say. So I don't know where does she stand with you? Do you like her or do you not like her? Or what's the deal?
Yeah, I definitely like Nicki Minaj. She has a lot of her gimmick songs as well, which are really good. They'll always be remembered. But like, yeah, Nicki Minaj, in my opinion, will always have a spot in the house of hip hop.
That's awesome.
Excellent.
And what about Salt and Pepper?
Oh,
I
of
love.
course.
Yeah.
I'll shoot with them all night.
Now, do you know about peanut butter and jam?
Peanut butter and
No.
jam.
Or
Enlighten me.
was it peanut butter and jelly? It was a rap. It was a two female rap artists. I'm not
I'll
joking.
definitely have to check that out.
That they didn't last as long. They really
There's a
didn't.
bell ringing in the back of
I'll
my head, but I can't place them.
I'll I'll do a first reaction.
Okay. All right. All right.
Dave Clooney says hi, gang.
Hey, Dave. How you
Hi,
doing,
Dave.
brother? Glad you could be with us this evening.
Oh, and John Collins brought up Thrash. You froze in your best heavy D pose. I'm doing the buffalo stance.
Right.
Oh,
Right.
speaking of female hip hop artists,
You're really focusing there.
yeah.
Yeah, that's right. He's just really concentrating on your guys' question so he can get it right.
I only stand to reason. Oh, and Hungry Jerk says, I like Malibu's Most Wanted. Funny about a white poser rapper. Oh, that movie?
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a
I
funny
remember
movie
that. Yeah.
with forgot the guy's name, but it was pretty funny. Well, what's your opinion on like hip hop kind of stuff? I mean, or what's it called? R&B. R&B. Like I know that there was some like Belle Biv DeVoe. I don't know if you know that band or not, know that group or not. Do you know of Belle Biv DeVoe?
I've heard of them. I've never really actually listened to them.
Oh yeah. Oh well. See, there was this time. See, there was this group of young black artists called New Edition, and I suggest you go check it out
Oh,
because it is. Do you know about
of
New
course, New
Edition?
Edition.
Yes. Yeah. Well.
Yes,
Well.
definitely.
In the kind of early '90s, late '80s, there was Bobby Brown spun out of that, and he did his stuff, which was kind of like this crossover between R&B with like rap mixed into it, And you had Paula Abdul as well, with the Scat Cat. I don't know if you're familiar with that or not, but Belle Biv DeVoe was a band that was kind of like R&B. They sang the song Poison, where they would poison, and then in the middle of it they would rap a little bit, but then one guy would like do like a song, almost like a harmony with melody and stuff, and the other guy would come in and rap a little bit, and it was pretty cool, but it was like a mix between R&B and hip hop, but I think they've gone separately now as I can see it.
Oh, Hungry Jerk asks a question. What are the laws for sampling?
What do you know about the laws for sampling, Lee?
Yeah. If you want to sample a song, basically, just credit the ones you sampled from and ask permission before sampling it. Those are the
What
laws now. I don't know about back then, but like right now, you like You pay something to the artist. You ask for permission and like you use the sample and you credit it on your album or single.
Yeah.
You know, it was funny. I mean, this is years ago. I want to say at least 15 years ago. I was working, and of course, I work in the restaurant industry, and I'm usually working with people half my age. And this server came around the corner to use the computer, and she's going, "Take a look at my girlfriend," and I'm like, "How could you possibly know that song?" And she's like, "What?" And I go, "That's it was." The original song was from Supertramp, and I want to say like 1978, 1979. And she goes, "No, no, that's a new song. That just song just came out last week." And I didn't realize it was actually being sampled by a later group. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
I Yeah, the gym class heroes. I hate to admit it, I did not know that was a sample.
yeah. And you
Oh.
know what? You're in good company. A lot of people didn't. I had to tell most of my coworkers because again, it came out in '79. That was way before you were born. Not just a little. We're
Yeah,
talking a lot.
and
Yeah.
that was a great hit by Gym Class Hero. Take a look at my girlfriend.
Girlfriend. Yeah.
She's the only one I got.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Oh,
remember that song.
and
It's
John
good.
Collins then goes on to say, Lee has the most cool thumbnail picture.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool picture.
Appreciate it.
Oh,
Cheers.
and if you've had a chance, check out Lee's post on his channel. By the way, he's got some great stuff. I checked out on that feud between Eminem and ICP. I watched you. You covered a lot of ground, even though you were sampling the raps in both. You covered a lot of ground on those, and those I can see why you got a lot of hits on those. There was some great stuff there.
Yeah, and I feel I haven't covered enough because a lot of people still like there's some really like really savage comments on there. And, like people are not happy about my opinions. So like I was thinking about doing this
Really,
this kind of thing called this week. Yeah, people do not
really.
like appreciate the opinions I had. So I was thinking about doing this week and like so people can have me on camera saying ICP won that beef just to
Oh,
keep everyone happy.
I thought
wow.
you were actually very even-handed over the whole situation,
Wow.
and but again, you can't please everyone. And again, I actually saw
Of
ICP
course.
live back in the early
Really?
2000s. Yeah, I saw them. It was in Boston. It was, and no, I'm not a juggalo. I didn't do the whole makeup and everything. But a friend of mine was like really into them, and I hadn't gone to a concert forever. And he asked me if I wanted to go with him. I'm like, yeah, sure. And we drank Fago, and because they like just hand the bottles out, and it's my first only time
Of
actually
course.
ever. Actually, I believe what's the name of that place that Hot Topic used to sell it for a while. But anyway, it's not a bad soda. And no, I saw them and they put on a great
Oh,
concert. But again, I think the points you made about the feud, I thought were very evenly handed and made a lot of sense. But I guess the Juggalos, some of the hardcore members, just they always got to go with ICP.
Yeah.
what's that drink you're talking about?
Oh, Fago, it's a
There
local
you go.
soda. It's sort of like Polar, only
Oh,
it's from the Midwest. I want to say Michigan.
hmm,
Yeah, it had to be from Michigan because they're from Detroit. But
hmm.
it's one
Yeah.
like one of those local blend sodas that every part of the country has them. Like Indiana has Knee High, and um, there was one years ago from Massachusetts called Squeeze Cola, but it's a local soda,
Hmm.
Hmm.
and they put it on the national scene for a while because they drank it. And so you'd go to their concerts and they'd be handing out bottles of usually Diet Fago. I found this out because a lot of the Juggalos colored their hair,
Uh-huh.
and if they got because they would spray it over each other, and if you spray the sugary soda, it
Yeah.
destroys your scalp if it got stuck there with all the stuff, the product they put in the hair.
Oh.
So they use diet soda
Jesus.
because the diet
Uh-huh.
soda wouldn't be as abrasive if it got stuck on your scalp. It wouldn't like
Yeah, because of the sugar.
exactly,
Sugar clumps
exactly,
up.
exactly.
We
I've
have
never had
a
Fago.
No, you never had
we
Fago. It's just like generic soda.
hmm.
It's usually very very sweet, but again, I was drinking the diet, so
Well, we don't I can't think of a soda we have here locally, but we do have a local beer here. Uh,
oh, what's
Yeah,
local
we
beer?
do. It's called Polygamy beer.
Of course it
Not
is.
I'm not joking. It's not a joke.
No, I
We
know,
have
I believe you, but
it's Polygamy porter or something like that. So, yeah.
hey,
I think it
We have two beers that are last over here.
Oh,
Okay.
which
What
are?
are they?
Medallia Light and Silver Key.
Okay,
I don't
right
think I've
on.
tried either one of
I
those.
haven't tried either one of those as well. But
I
you know that
They're
in Utah
strong.
they have this they have a thing about the beer. They have to make it if you buy it in the grocery store, it's like diluted. It's like 2.0 or something like that.
really.
Yeah, yeah. You either have to get it from the liquor store,
Mhm.
or you have to drive to over over the state line and grab it and come back. And some people do that, like they do that. Like there's a whole thing in if you ever see the movie SLC Punk, which you
Oh
should
yeah,
see SLC Punk. I mean, that's a really good show. In SLC Punk, they live up in Salt Lake, and they're talking about this, and it's totally true. And they drive up to Idaho so they can get their beer that's not diluted, and then come back. And the reason why they do that is because, like, early in the early '80s, if you went if you looked different and you went to the liquor store and bought the beer, they would call the police, and the police would
really.
tail you, and yeah, until something was wrong or whatever. So yeah, it was a big deal.
Well,
So
I know the difference between beer and malt liquor. If you've drank either one of them, they taste exactly the same. But the big thing about it is it's the alcohol content. Over a certain alcohol content, it's no longer qualified as beer, so they
oh,
start
okay.
calling it malt liquor. Um,
Like liquor, but it's
Yeah.
malt liquor, like the
exactly, it's just
gotcha,
beer, but with a higher alcohol content.
gotcha.
I tell people up here that Sam Adams is technically a local beer because it comes from Boston, but the big thing right now, of course, is we have Cape Cod Brewery, and
Uh-huh.
they have Cape Cod Red and Cape Cod Blonde and Cape Cod IPA, and that's a true local. But more people are familiar with Sam Adams. Do you guys have those commercials with your cousin from Boston? You guys know what I'm talking about?
Doesn't
No.
sound familiar.
They're Sam Adams commercials. You probably only see them in areas that you know sell a lot of Sam Adams,
I see
but
Sam Adams. I mean, we have Samuel Adams beer here. Sam
but they
Adams
have
beer
a
here.
guy with the most abrasive Boston accent. And the whole commercial is he's usually like really obnoxious. Like he'll be a security guard getting drunk on duty, or he's going to his cousin's wedding and he's like handing out Sam Adams during the reception. But it's like my wife can't stand them because she's like, this is actually what people from Boston are like. So
Hmm.
it's not funny for us. But
Yeah, I
oh,
gotcha.
look who's in the house,
Daryl
Joel Johnson.
Johnson.
How do you everyone?
Daryl
How are you
Johnson.
today?
How did you, my friend? How did you? Well, hey, why did East Coast and West Coast hate each other? Like, what happened? I mean, I know the differences but what made them so mad at each other about it?
There's many reasons that could be thrown into that, but it was just really like it was just like the two sides of the neighborhood. Who had
Mm.
that supremacy over the entire neighborhood. You had
Was
guys
there
like Tupac and Notorious calling themselves the best.
so it was just like neighborhood beef just on a national level?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Huh,
One
I
thing
wonder.
that really was like that I really caught up was like when Tupac, started Death Row. While he was signed to Death Row, he started to start like Death Row East, and he was like basically talking about bringing real hip hop to the East Coast. Bringing that real hip hop stuff, and I don't think really people in the East didn't really sit well with that.
No, no, they were upset when they heard that. They were
Yeah,
yeah, they were very
and
upset.
Suge Knight was by his side, so that wasn't really good either.
Uh uh Suge Knight's a straight gangster, huh?
He is. He's still in prison to this day.
I'd be scared of that guy for sure. That's no joke right there. I think he's a
Okay.
killer.
It's funny because like he and Nick Cannon like dissed Eminem, and Eminem just didn't answer. Like he just
Mm,
ignored the entire thing.
probably wise.
Cindy D says Tupac was in an episode of A Different World with Jada. Wow. There was a fight in it, and NBC refused to air it.
I want to see
Really?
this.
I wonder if you can get it on like Peacock or whatever.
Yeah, I'm familiar with the show, but I don't recall. Well, of course they didn't air it, so of course I don't recall it. But
Yeah, I wonder if it's on there though.
John Collins says yes, I've seen them. I'm assuming he's been in the Sam Adams commercials. Oh, also with Dave Clarone. Thrash. I know the commercials. Well, very funny.
It's funny, I can't remember him right now. I
Mm.
must have seen him. If everybody around the country's seen him, I'm sure it's not local. I'm sure I've seen him too. So yeah, well, when you say, "Well, I'm going to bring real rap here" or whatever, I mean, I can imagine people would say, like, "What have we been doing this whole time? Fake rap?" And then so people
Yeah,
get, yeah, that's very upsetting. But
especially
especially what?
especially since like the East Coast started the whole thing. Here in comes the West Coast with this guy, and like they're trying to take everything over. It
Yeah,
wasn't like a good image for them.
yeah. Well, I could definitely see even in the Biggie Tupac videos, with Puff Daddy, like I can hear the difference in the rap altogether. I mean, really, it's still they're both still rap for sure, but I mean, you get Biggie and in there, and it's really more glamorized, more dance moves, more sampling, uh and just it's more, they do take on serious subjects, but it's like a lot more, there's a lot more dance grooves in it, where it seems like West Coast was just kind of pared down, less sampling, more about what you're talking about, kind of a thing. So yeah, I mean, I could see those
Which
two.
one
I
do you
mean,
prefer?
probably the pared down, probably the pared down one a little bit more when I listen to it, when I actually listen to the words, and hear what he's talking about. I mean, nobody can deny Tupac. I mean, the way he talked about his life and his struggles and stuff, it really makes you connect with it. And it is really, in my opinion, like the difference between what you would consider underground music versus glam rock. I mean, glam rock's flashier. You're going to the party, there's a lot more instrumentality to glam rock for sure. I mean, they might be better technicians, better musicians, but they just don't write better songs. To me,
Yeah.
they don't compare to a Nirvana or a Smashing Pumpkins. So that's how I would look at it. I definitely like the more pared down, authentic kind of thing.
What about you,
Oh,
Thrash?
um, I'm actually torn. I'm not 100%. So, but I can certainly see Ian's point. But Hungry Jerk goes on to say, we get the same Adams commercials in California. I'm from Boston. I was going to say,
Hmm.
Excellent.
I was born in Framingham, just outside of Boston. Small world.
Right, right,
There we
right.
go. Oh, Cindy D has brought up something good here. I saw it on the TV channel Bounce. I'm assuming she means that episode of A Different World that
Yeah.
never aired.
Well, if it's in reruns, then we should be able to find it. Should be able to Google the name, Tupac and Jade and Different World, and then the episode and season will come up, and then you just go into Peacock or whatever and look for it there, or wherever you watch your nostalgic television.
Trey Rossmeyer says, I like the ad with Snoop and Martha Stewart.
That's funny. That's a funny
Hmm.
ad. I do too. And
Snoop
then
in
there's,
I,
general is a funny guy.
he really is.
yeah, he's a pretty good guy. He's funny. He was kind of a smooth, like one of the first like real smooth rappers, wasn't he? Like you got this.
Oh yeah,
It was like you got to
he's
hear,
the
yeah,
father of that stuff.
yeah. You always get these people who are really innovative. Then you get the copies, right? You get the 10 copies that
Yeah.
come out after it, right? And then
Hmm.
and then all the copies. Sometimes you feel bad for them because sometimes people are mislabeled as copies and they're not really. They just didn't get discovered until the one guy got popular. But then on the other side, you do have those people who were definitely They didn't sound anything like that until that other guy came out. Then they started doing it, and it's a fine line. Really, it's a fine line between influence and copying. Like you might have a band
Mm.
that's influenced by somebody, and then people who, I mean, it's a fine line. I mean,
It's a very fine line. Well, look what happened to Who Did the Blowfish? Bob Dylan actually sued them.
oh
And they go,
really?
yeah. And they're
Hmm.
like, this is an homage to you. And he said, no, you're stealing my intellectual property. And it actually went into the courts over it. And I'm like, frankly, I can actually see Mr. Dillon's point. I mean,
What
they were
what did they steal? I don't know what song they're talking about
well.
or what
There
lyrics or
was
whatever.
one album they did. I can't remember which one, but there was one album they did, which was literally all just some. Everything was just like a rehash of Bob Dylan stuff. It was an homage to him. It wasn't like they were just doing renditions of his songs,
Mm,
but everything was basically from his catalog,
I see.
just put together,
I
sort of a
see.
hodgepodge. And Dylan said, "No, you can't make an entire album based on me and not pay me."
Ah, oh, okay. Interesting.
That
Well, I got
makes
a
sense.
story about Hootie and the Blowfish. Just going to go off here.
Okay.
One of my best friends when I went to Bible college in Texas, he knew Hootie and the Blowfish before they were popular, and he actually had their album that they would sell at their shows. And so I was exposed to Hootie and the Blowfish maybe about 2 years before they came out with their big one, at least a 1 year, if not two. And he stayed on at that school because it was also a missionary base too. And I left. And when I left, Hootie and the Blowfish came out, and he got to go to the opening party, and he would have taken me with him if I would have been there.
Oh,
Because he and I mean, we were buddies, we were like best friends and stuff. And so I had left him to come back home, and he stayed on. And then they sent him tickets to go see Hootie in the Boat, or not just go see it, but to be part of their opening party when that first big album hit. So
Wow.
and then he knows Darius Ruckman too, and he went. Now Darius Ruckman's a big country star, and he actually went to. He told me this later because he actually came through town a couple of years ago. We had lunch, and he said he went to go see Darius Ruckman, and Darius Ruckman now they wouldn't let him in. The guy who guards the gate even knows my friend. He said, I know him too. He says, like, it just doesn't work that way anymore. He goes, this is country music. They've got a lot of red tape. I can't just let people in that we know. It has to go through all this approval. And it just wasn't the same back in the, early or mid 90s or whatever. So anyway, there we go.
bummer.
Who do you, on many
Hmm.
levels.
Did you ever hear of a group from the New England area called the Del Fuegos?
No, I have not. That sounds like an awesome band, though.
Um, they were really big. This is way before your time. They were big about 30 years ago, Lee. And they only had a couple of like top 40 hits. They were getting some airplay on MTV, and they did a beer commercial. That was their biggest thing. Is they did a beer commercial. We keep going back to beer tonight. Uh, I'm actually drinking orangeade, so I'm being good tonight. But anyway, um, guy I went to school with actually grew up with them, and they were on a world tour. They came to Boston. He tried to call up to see if he could get tickets, and their agent wouldn't even put him through. And he was like heartbroken. He's like, I went to school with these guys. So it reminded me of your story reminded me of that there, Ian. So
Yeah,
it's sad the machinery that gets involved in the music industry.
right, right. Well, then you get the record companies involved, and I'm sure this happens with rap as well. I mean, as soon as some type of thing gets popular and it makes money, the record companies are designed to make money. They're money making machines. So then they just go and they sign whoever. They just want to reproduce the next Tupac or the next whatever. And unfortunately, some people slip through the fingers of that. People who should have been more popular. One band that I really liked was Marcy Playground. I don't. Um,
Yes,
um,
I saw them
they're
live. You know.
Oh, you did.
Yes.
They weren't. They got like a little popular, but they were really good. Their whole album, that first album and the second album was good. The third album is like a straight Nirvana ripoff.
Really.
Like seriously, man.
Hmm.
Their first two albums are amazing, amazing, and they do sound a little like Nirvana, but I would say it's more of an influence than it is ripping them off. But that third one, like even some of the riffs on his guitar sound very. I was just like, dude, this sounds just like Nirvana. You gotta stop.
Teresa Rosmeyer says Del Fuegos were good. Their biggest hit I can think of off the top of my head was something called "Don't Run Wild." In case anybody feels like looking them up, yeah, it was "Don't Run Wild," and it was sort of this like heavy, almost rockabilly kind of power ballad. It was good.
Yeah.
Oh, and John Collins says Darius Rucker, and I think he says that because you were calling him Ruckman.
Oh
Darius
yeah,
Rucker.
Rucker. I'm sorry, I just mispronounced it. Darius Rucker.
Yeah.
Darius
And
Rucker.
I think he became a country singer so Bob Dylan would stop suing him.
Maybe. And
Wow.
speaking of Bob Dylan, did you ever see the Weird Al parody of Bob Dylan?
Not off the top of my head. I may have, and I've just forgotten it, so I'm not familiar with it.
So, and you would like this too, Lee, because it's kind of rappy-ish. It is actually kind of rappy-ish. I'm not sure if it's
Weird
a
Al was good.
yeah. I'm not sure
Love Weird Al.
if it's a Bob Dylan song, but it's done in the style of Bob Dylan, and the whole thing are palindromes. You know what a palindrome is, right?
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. The whole song is palindromes. He keeps doing palindromes over and over again. It's
Wow.
hilarious. Cindy D, not Cindy D, but here Tracy Rothmeyer wrote this too.
Oh, I'm sorry, I was daydreaming. Trey Meyer says, I like the rappers who write their own songs and not sampling.
What do you got to
Yeah.
say about that?
I mean, the best beats ever in hip hop have come from sampling, and some of them have become like completely original. So yeah, I can definitely see how somebody would like that.
Yeah, I
Oh.
think she said not sampling though, but their own songs. Humpty
And
Dance.
Daryl Jones says, Humpty Dance, is that rap? Judges?
Definitely
Yeah, where did they
Digital
come out
Underground
of? Where did
up
they
there
come
right
out
now.
of?
Humpty?
I'm not really sure, but I think like the Humpty Dance was like one of those one hit wonders from Digital Underground. I'm not so sure. I'm sure Digital Underground did a lot more stuff, and I'm sure that, they collaborated with Tupac as well. Like before Tupac was really big, but like yeah, like Humpty Dance is a really good song too.
I love Digital Underground. I thought they were really good.
I believe you're right. I believe because I can't think of another song they did. That Humpty did. I think that was like
Humpty
his
Hump.
like one hit Humpty Hump.
What
Yeah.
was that? But was that like that was like a persona of the main guy, right? That was
Yeah,
like a
like
real
Eminem doing Slim Shady. Like Humpty
right.
Hump was just like a little joke that they did.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But Digital Underground was awesome.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Big in the HBCU schools.
I don't get it.
I was hoping you guys would know. I'm sorry. Uh, um, Daryl Johnson says LL Cool J, "Mama Gonna Knock You Out." That song I'm familiar with.
Right? Yeah, I think we were. I think
One of
LL.
the Go ahead,
Go
Lee.
ahead. Oh, I was going to say I think LL Cool J is one of the people we all like. They're one of the more popular ones we all kind of know about. Go ahead. What were you going to say, Lee?
Yeah, Mama Gonna Knock You Out. Like that's definitely one of the greatest diss tracks ever made, and it's really catchy too.
It
Right.
And the
really
music video is
is.
great.
Yeah.
It really is. He did. If I remember correctly, I think he actually went and did that on MTV Unplugged, and I believe he was, at least at the time, possibly still is. Well, they don't do music anymore, so I'm sure he almost still is. It was the only rap artist to do the Unplugged,
Really?
Hmm.
I believe.
That would have been cool. That would have been cool to listen to. I'd have loved it.
I anyone who's here, like if they haven't checked it out, I definitely recommend you check out that beef and all the songs involved with it, all the diss tracks. The Big Daddy Kane versus LL Cool J. That's definitely one of the most fun beefs ever. And like, there's so many awesome punchlines in it too.
Mm.
Hungry Jerk says, "Shock G, the Humpty Dance guy, just died from an overdose." Wow.
Oh
Jesus.
wow! I had that song, "The Humpty Dance," stuck in my head for like a month. Literally, I was working at Hardee's and I could not stop singing it every day. And back then, like I couldn't just pull it up on my phone to get it out of my head, and I didn't have the tape. Like I didn't, and I actually didn't. I think for a while there, I wasn't sure who sang it, so I couldn't just go down to the tape store and look it up either. I was like Humpty Dance, and I didn't know the words neither. So you're kind of like making it up what you remember of it.
I know exactly where you speak of. Cindy D says historically black colleges and universities the Humpty Dance was. So that's HBCU.
Oh,
Hmm.
okay,
John Collins says the Humpty Dance was from Digital Underground. That's where Tupac started as well.
yeah.
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 One thing I wanted to ask everyone: what's your favorite rapper of all time? Who do you think is the greatest of all time? To all the people in here.
Oh, okay.
Hmm.
I'll let people. We've covered us, haven't we? Ian, did you want to start?
I don't know. I don't remember what I said. I think probably I'd have to give it to Tupac. I think probably that would be. I mean, he's probably not somebody. No, no, no. For me personally, okay. So it would definitely be a tie for me between Tupac and Eminem. Eminem really is where found my love for most all rap, like in my adult years. So like, I mean, that's kind of where I found my love for it. But and so I'm a bigger fan of Eminem. But I can't deny, like, I've only listened to Tupac on a handful of occasions, but every time I listen to him, I'm blown away by his abilities and by what he says and his rawness and his emotion. So I'm torn between the two. Eminem, on one hand, I mean, that was just like I was drawn to it. My name is Slim Slay. It was so cool. It was so awesome. I probably loved it more. But if you're asking me who the best is, for me, I definitely might have to give it to Tupac for that. But I don't know. I'm an outsider completely on it.
I have to go with,
Yeah.
and I believe I went with the last time, but LL Cool J.
LL
And
Cool J,
Hmm.
yeah, he's
I
solid.
well, I was just listening to "You're the Type of Guy" the other day.
Yeah, you're the type of guy.
I
Remember
love that
that?
song. Although they cut so much of it out on YouTube, they really hack it, and I'm like, really? Most of it's just him talking around stuff. But okay, Cindy D says, and Lee will see what you think of this. Tupac, Curtis Blow, and Public Enemy.
Hmm. Public Enemy,
Yeah.
solid.
Tupac is obviously the greatest of all time. Public Enemy, a really really good, just awesome group. Like I think the first time I heard them was when I watched the movie Do the Right Thing. It's definitely like a great movie too. And
Hmm.
Curtis Blow, one of the originals.
Cool. Right on.
Hungry Jerk says, I listen to Bad Ronald and Little T and One Track Mike. Jewish rap.
I've heard of One Track Mike. I've never heard of the other two.
I haven't either. I do remember a song by a Jewish guy, and it was a rap song. And then at the end, I just remember that at the end of the video, these other rappers are saying, "Hey, will we see you Friday or something?" He says, "No." He goes, "Saturday after dark," because the day ends on the end of the day. So they was basically saying after the Sabbath. Do you remember that video?
I don't know.
He's a Jewish guy.
Nope.
He's like an ascetic Jew, where he's got the little long things and stuff, and then he's doing all this rap, and it's pieced together like a typical rap video of the time. And then at the end of the video, they're like, "Hey," and they say the rapper's name, and they're like, um, "All right, man, you gonna be at the club at Friday?" And he's like, "No, man, Saturday after dark." So, and
Because
that's
it's
how
after the Sabbath.
yeah,
Yeah, I get it.
after it ends. So,
Yeah. Cindy D then goes on to say Dr. Dre a clear second. Master of the Beats.
Dr. Dre's good.
Definitely. Dr. Dre is the master of the beats. And
Yeah.
he's a great rapper too.
20,000 Myers says LOL Cools is great. Hungry Jerk says no Beastie Boys?
We talked about the Beastie Boys, but they're not my favorite by
Hmm.
a rap. I actually like the Beastie Boys as a punk band way better than I like them as a rap band. Although their rap is good, they're cool, they're fresh,
Yeah.
but they just
Their
wouldn't be my
their
favorite.
song their song what their song "What You Want" is like a really good classic too. Like
Yeah,
I think that's the perfect Beastie Boys song.
yeah.
John Collins goes on to say Tupac, not because of crossover success, but because he was taught well by his mother. He meant what he said, whether we liked it or not. And he really was a poet, and he wanted you to know what he felt.
I thought you were going to say he wanted you to know it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's one thing. That's why I think Tupac always said in his songs. He always said, "Can you feel me?" I think that's why, like, he
Yeah.
always said that because you always felt Tupac in his songs.
Right. Right.
Daryl Johnson said, "Run DMC."
Like Run DMC, they're solid early band. They're the both two of them are ministers now. One of them at the same church, I think. One of them's
Really?
one's a pastor and the other is a deacon at that guy at the pastor's church. Yeah, Run DMC. Yeah,
Daryl Johnson, MC Hammer, can't touch this.
Yeah, it still
MC.
shocks me that he won rap album and rap artist of the year with just that song.
What with
Shocks a
what
lot of
song?
people, I think.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
can't
Well, that
touch
was
this.
back. Yeah.
Oh, Tracy Ross Myers gave us a twofer. She gave us Ice Cube and Ice T. Which one of the two, gentlemen?
Ice
Uh,
Cube.
yeah, probably Ice Cube, but I mean Ice T is where I kind of, like when they did the Ice T did the soundtrack to Breakin', so I knew about that, and
Mhm,
a
mhm.
friend of mine who was into heavy metal played the Ice T Colors because that was on Colors, right? He did the soundtrack for
Yes.
Colors, and he
Yeah,
used to play
Colors.
that one. They don't know who
Once
you are.
upon
They
a
don't
time.
know what you done. You're only making this harder on yourself, son. you know,
What
Yeah.
wasn't Ice Cube in the first Lollapalooza back in like the 90s?
No,
No,
I don't
no,
know.
he
I don't
wasn't.
I
think
have
so.
no I don't know. I don't know. I was just kidding by saying no. Well, I don't understand this comment here.
Oh,
With
I will say also, Ice T and Ice Cube are great actors.
yes.
yes.
Yeah, very good.
Yes, sir.
Very good. I'm not sure I understand with this. Matthias. Oh, the rapper, the rapper. I totally that could totally be the right one and I would not have any idea. I don't remember the guy's name. So, I mean, you would know more than I would because I don't even remember the person's name. So,
And let's see, we have how Daryl Johnson said Weird Al is a hell of a rapper.
I'm
Oh
sure he
yeah.
is.
And Trathos Minor says Coolio.
Yeah.
Speaking of Weird Al and Coolio,
Yeah, right.
Coolio comes up with Gangsta's Paradise and his parody Amish Paradise.
Yeah.
It's great.
Well, I thought it was good and there was a little beef there between them. Coolio. I think
Yeah.
I mean, didn't Coolio get the check and say it was okay? And then he tried to later say, oh, no, he's disrespecting my song, basically. That's
That's
how,
I think that
yeah.
happened. That happened with Michael too, right? Like I think Weird Al wanted to do Beat It after he did Fat, and like Michael Jackson did not want that at all.
yeah, I don't
That
know.
sounds familiar. That sounds familiar. But the biggest, I wouldn't say feud, but bone of contention Weird Al ever had was with Prince. Prince would never permit Weird Al to do any of his music ever.
Oh, wow. I didn't
Yeah,
know that.
and it's sad too because he actually did something called Mayberry Beret, which is about going to Floyd's barbershop and getting a bad haircut. So he has to wear the Mayberry Beret, and I guess Prince hit the ceiling um
And said, no way,
and
huh?
forbid Al to play it. It got some radio play, but was never permitted to go onto an album.
Yeah, that's a bummer. I'm sure you can hear it on YouTube somewhere.
Oh, I'm sure it is.
Well, you know that he was going to do a parody of McCartney as well, Paul McCartney.
Hmm.
He was going to do a chicken pot pie instead of Live and Let Die, and McCartney wouldn't let him because it wasn't pro vegan. That's
Yeah,
no,
he said if you do tofu pot pie, we have a deal.
yeah,
And Al said that defeats the entire purpose because the background is instead of da da da, it was going to be a chicken going bok 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 bok
yeah,
bok bok bok. So if the chicken would make no sense if it was tofu pot pie.
yeah.
So he scrapped the idea of the project. But
All right, all right, all right.
but I
Weird
that
Al
wasn't so much a
was a
fight. That
daredevil.
was more just Paul's like I take a moral objection to this.
Yeah. Uh,
Oh, of course, Daryl Johnson goes on
Hmm.
to say, "None of that happened." So says Weird Al.
none of what happened. None of what we said.
No, exactly.
Like which 10 things that we said about Weird Al didn't happen.
Apparently, all of it. Oh, one thing
Definitely.
I have to read this into the record because it's killing me. I know
Okay.
no one apart from the person who mentioned it was familiar with Bad Ronald. But do you know where the name Bad Ronald comes from?
I'm only thinking Ronald Reagan, but no, I don't.
It was a made-for-TV horror movie from the 70s, and the premise is this.
Hmm.
I believe it's actually set in Boston, but it doesn't really matter. A young man commits murder, and he's hidden by his family. And the way they do it, um, they remove his door and they wall it up so that when the police come looking for him, they can't find his bedroom. And he's actually fed through a secret passage. And he hides in this room, this guy Ronald, for years, slowly going insane because he's basically a shut in this small room. Years later, the mother who's been hiding him all these years dies. The house goes into foreclosure, and it's bought by this new family who now have a psychopath living in a secret room in their house.
But he's gonna
And
die
Hmm.
eventually though, because he can't get out, right?
oh no, there's like a little passageway he can get in and out of, and
I think
he
there
actually
was
manages.
I think there was a movie like this that I saw.
Really? So you actually may have
Yeah.
seen this movie. A buddy of mine was actually writing a stage play based on it. But yeah, so it's these people live in a house with a killer who can sneak in and out through the secret passageway,
Hmm.
and that's Bad
Yeah.
Ronald.
Except
Oh, go ahead.
the movie that I saw, it was like this kid who was like, I'm not really sure, I don't remember really, but it was like this kid who was like his parents would really treat him really badly, and he was always he would always like hide in like these secret rooms,
Hmm.
like Rio the people under the stairs type stuff,
Oh yeah.
Oh
and
yeah.
like
Uh,
yeah, and like this mother and this daughter moved in, and they started experiencing really weird stuff with like the electricity, and the kid's name was Eugene.
Hmm.
So
there's a
yeah.
bell ring in the back of my head. I know what you're talking about.
Well, I know
Yeah.
one with Neil
Hmm.
Patrick Harris too. There's a movie where he lives in the attic, and he's this lady's lover who also has a husband, and then he lives there for years and years or something like that. So there's a theme going on here. I can sense. I
Yeah.
can see a new show,
I'll do a live chat on like psychological horror movies where people are hiding in your house.
or people live in your.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, and my wife just walked by with a note. She says she wants Snoop Dogg to be read into the record as her favorite rapper.
Oh, okay,
So
right
shout
on.
out to
Oh,
Mrs. Thrash
okay.
Pondo, Snoop Dogg.
Yeah, right on. Well, what do you guys got going on over? Getting at the hour and a half mark here.
Mhm.
Comments are slowing down a bit, so let's just go ahead and wrap things up. Lee, tell us where people can reach you and what you got going on at your channel these days.
Yeah. Best way to reach me is my Instagram, obviously, or email. Either one of the two is great. My channel, I'm just just working on reactions, and getting a lot of songs out there. A lot of people suggesting a lot of stuff, so definitely busy with that. Also got movie reviews, a lot of other different projects going into the future. Yeah, that's basically
Hmm.
all.
Right on, right
Excellent,
on.
excellent.
And Thrash, what do you got going on over at your channel?
I'm still at Thrash Pondo Ponds. I just put out another one of my miscellaneous Michigots. It was another case of uh, top 10 forgotten 80s song lyrics where I give both the question and answer what the forgotten lyric was. Still doing my top 10 list on the worst dad jokes that money can buy. And being as though I've just had my first year anniversary on YouTube and am celebrating my passing the 100 subscriber mark, I am putting together my celebratory extravaganza where I'm going to be putting some real fun stuff together for all you fine folks. And as John Collins was talking about earlier, I'm compiling input for my first live stream. And of
Awesome,
course, everyone's invited.
awesome, awesome. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm excited for you.
Thank you.
Yeah, got a couple things going on here. Next week I'm working on a like a short So I'm trying to mix things up a little bit, not get too far down in one thing. So I was doing like the five for a while, five things you didn't know about, and then I did a couple on cartoons. I'm gonna do one on like three things that make alternative rock music or something like that. I thought of three things that define alternative rock, so I might put that out as a short one, like one of the 10-minute videos. Next week, I think me and Thrash Pondo are going to be talking about our favorite after school snacks. We did one on food, on fast food, but this time we're going to be doing one on afternoon snacks. And then the week after that, I'm going to have Chris back on the show as well, and we're going to be talking about prog rock. And prog rock, if you know what prog rock is, it stands for progressive rock. So that's going to be, God willing, Creek Don't Rise. That's what we got coming in the future for this channel. Hey, I just want to thank everybody so much for stopping in. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Yeah, hit that like button. Daryl Johnson said, hit that like button. Please hit the like button and share it on your favorite social media. Before you go, listen, I have 100 hours. I'm 100 hours short of 2,000 hours, 100 hours short of 2,000 hours. So we can all do this. Watch a couple of those hour-long videos or let them play on some device somewhere and let them play out and get me up to that 2,000. That's halfway. And I'm at 420. I did a significant jump here. I went from this was the story. I went from 413. I was like, man, 413. Went down to 4.7. Went back up to 413. Went down to 412. And then I went up for some reason to 424 today. So that was a pretty good jump from 412 to 424, 10 subscribers. So yeah, please keep it. What we're doing is working. We just got to keep the goal in mind and keep plugging forward. And you are all part of the Retro Serial Army. It's like Kiss has an army. Retro Serial has an army, folks. And it's you guys that are watching this. And you guys who are on, just share it on your favorite social media. Let's get it out there and let everybody know. And I'm always open to show suggestions as well. So hit me up if you're out there and you're like, hey, I got a podcast or I got a good YouTube channel and you want to talk. Let me know. Let me know. All right, guys. Thank you so much. Thanks to the audience. Thank you, Lee, for being on.
Take care of yourself,
It's
Lee.
always a pleasure.
Great seeing
Yes.
you.
And Thrash Pondo, thank you very much for being on as well and navigating this. Really appreciate what you do for me here.
It's my pleasure.
Take care, everyone.